What's up, guys? In today's video, we're going to be talking about how to get more bookings on Airbnb in 2024. I'm going to be addressing specifically what to do if you are getting views, if you can see from the Insights tab on Airbnb that people are seeing and looking at your property, but you're just not getting bookings. Coincidentally, a lot of the things that are going to generate you more views are actually also going to help you to get more bookings. But what do you do if you're getting the views and you're just not actually getting booked? Well, that's what we're going to dive into right now. The first thing that you really want to look at is just your history, your track record of performance. If you were getting a bunch of bookings and now all of a sudden they've dried up, then you want to look at what actually changed when that shift happened. Remedying that is often the best place to look because it's ultimately just going to be the thing that actually clears up the issue and helps you get more bookings. So for example, if you changed out your headline or changed out your listing description or changed out your photos, or maybe you made a significant update to your pricing, or maybe the season changed and it went from high season to low season, whatever happened there is going to give you clues of where to best focus your efforts. Now, one of the common things I see happening is that people go from high season into low season, and that's when bookings start to dry up. So let's start there and let's talk about what you should do in this scenario. Now, assuming that you were actually getting booked up really well in high season, meaning you were getting booked at premium rates, you were getting booked at a good occupancy rate, a competitive occupancy rate, then ultimately that's going to lead me to say, hey, it's probably your pricing. You probably were doing a really good job pricing in the high season, but you're probably overly optimistic or overly aggressive with your pricing in low season. And so dropping your pricing down is probably going to be the answer for you. Ultimately, the name of the game during high season is about maximizing your nightly rates, whereas the name of the game in low season is about maximizing your occupancy rate. You're not going to get those sky high nightly rates that you got in high season when you're in low season. So you just have to be more competitive with your pricing in order to get bookings in low season. But if you were doing okay, doing well, which a lot of people do in high season because you can be making a lot of mistakes and still performing well, and now suddenly it's dried up, then it probably has more to do with your listing optimization. You probably were masking the fact that you actually don't have a very good listing. You maybe have room for improvement on your photos, your headline, your description, what have you, but it was just masked because of high season, all the chaos and all the bookings that were coming in, that even the kind of average or mediocre properties were still getting booked up. And now that it's low season, you're not. So you have to be really humble and honest with yourself and say, is my listing really optimized? In which case, let's look at pricing. Or is my listing really, is there quite a bit of room for improvement? And then let's focus our efforts there. Now, ultimately, one of the best ways to manage all of this is by having a really good and robust data-driven pricing strategy. If you have a really good pricing strategy, it will tell you and you'll know when and if you should increase, decrease, or hold your pricing as it is. And not having a data-driven pricing strategy is going to drive you to make very emotional decisions where you're going to either hold your pricing too high because you're being emotional and think your property is worth it, or you're going to be emotionally dropping your prices way lower than they need to be because you're kind of panicking and trying to get bookings in the door. Now, neither one of those strategies is going to lead to an optimized return on your investment and optimized revenue. So you want to have a good data-driven pricing strategy. You can check out the links in the description down below. We've got free trainings that walk through how to do all that, and it'll give you some free tools to get you started so that you can actually price your property effectively. Guys, just want to take a quick break here to say that for those of you watching who want to build cash flow and long-term wealth by purchasing Airbnbs and short-term rental properties, there's a link in the description right down below for a free training that'll walk you through my exact strategy for investing successfully in Airbnbs. Now, if you're not ready to actually buy properties and you want to get started managing other people's properties on Airbnb the same way I got started and build a full-time income managing other people's properties, there's actually another free training linked in the description down below as well that'll be a really great fit for you. So whether you want to invest in short-term rental properties and actually build amazing cash flow and long-term wealth by acquiring the assets, buying the properties themselves, or you're looking to earn a full-time income managing other people's properties on Airbnb, we've got some awesome trainings that are linked in the description down below that'll definitely help you out. When you sign up for the trainings, we're also going to send you a few other tools and resources completely for free just to help you get started. Again, the links to sign up are in the description down below, and both trainings and all of the tools are completely free. So make sure to register for the trainings, links in the description down below. Now, beyond just your pricing strategy and basic listing optimization, what are some of the other ways that you can make sure your property gets more bookings? Well, number one, make sure that your calendar is open and available. I know it sounds kind of silly, but you want to make sure that your calendar is open for at least 6 months, ideally 12 months into the future, so that guests have the ability to book with significant lead time. I see a lot of hosts making the mistake of only opening their calendar up 2 or 3 or 4 months in advance. And that just means that you're missing out on any of those early planners that could be booking your property for 6 months out or for a year from now, because they're just a planner. They know that they're going to be traveling. And so you're just missing out on that demand by not having your calendar open and available and ready for people to book. Now, a couple other things you can do to increase the amount of bookings you get is lowering your average night stay, or your minimum night stay, I should say. Now, you don't, in my experience, want to drop that down below 2 nights. So if you're already at a 2-night minimum stay across the board, then I wouldn't recommend dropping it down to 1, because in most cases, that's going to create more headache than is really worth dealing with as a host. However, if you're currently sitting with a 3 or a 4 or a 5-night minimum stay, you may want to consider either outright lowering that down, or you might want to selectively lower that down for specific days or specific time frames, where if someone's booking last minute, maybe they're not going to have to book for 3 or 4 or 5 nights. Maybe they can book a 2-night stay as long as it's within the next 30 or 60 days, because it helps you to fill that calendar vacancy there. Now, in order to do that, you're going to need to use a third-party pricing tool. For that, I recommend Price Labs, but there are other tools out there that can also get that done for you, whether it's Wheelhouse, Beyond Pricing, what have you. Now, another really, really great trick or hack that I have for generating additional bookings without having to generate new customers is to go to the customers you already have, the people that are already booked in your calendar, and ask them if they'd like to extend their stay. Now, there's a really strategic kind of right way to do this that I found generates the best results. I found that if you reach out to people without any real kind of forethought and you just ask them, hey, do you want to stay for like an extra night? Maybe you do a bit of a discount. It just doesn't really work that well. Whereas if you reach out at the right time with the right messaging, it can be very, very effective. What I found to work really, really well, and I got this idea off someone else, is, and it works very, very well, is you basically reach out to a person who is checking in on, say, a Friday night. It's a really common, popular time for people to be checking in, and you offer to extend their stay, quoting and citing that you saw like there's a weather thing, or just that you know how busy it can be to get everyone out of the house on a Friday night. And hey, do you want to come up a day earlier? Or hey, I saw the weather's not going to be that great on Friday. Do you want to come up a night earlier so you don't have to be rushed getting up there? And a lot of the time, if you do that and you offer them a bit of a discount, the big benefit is that now you're filling up a night that probably otherwise would not have gotten filled up. You're incurring next to no additional like marginal cost, because there's no additional turnover, no additional admin work needs to be done. It's literally just an extra night, maybe a roll of toilet paper or something. And you're just getting basically free money at that point. So it can be really, really helpful to do that. Same thing when people are checking out. If they're checking out, especially on a Sunday, I found it to be really effective. Hey, do you want to extend to the Monday? And then you can just leave at the end of the day on Sunday. We'll just give you like a late checkout, basically a very late checkout. Or you want to extend an extra day so you can get the most out of your weekend. Or, hey, there's weather coming in and I saw that you got a long drive back. I just want to know if you wanted to extend your stay so you didn't have to rush. That strategy can be really, really effective for getting additional bookings. Now, another really great strategy for driving more bookings, again, without having to generate any new customers, is by taking the customers you currently have and getting repeat bookings from them. Now, I talked about this in my other video, and I've talked about this in a few other videos, is a direct booking strategy. And for this, I recommend using a tool called StayFi. Now, I'm not sponsored by StayFi, but I do really like using their tools as a host myself. What I like to do is install their StayFi router in my property. And basically what that means that now when a guest is checked into that property and they want to use the Wi-Fi, they're going to have to put in their email address in order to access it, similar to to what you would have to do if you were staying at, for example, a hotel. Now, the nice thing about this, and I've stated this in other videos, is that it allows you to now collect the email addresses of not just the person that booked with you, but all the other members of that group who may want to stay at your property again with different people. Maybe they've got another group of friends or another group of family that they want to stay at your property with in the future. So you collect their email addresses, and then you can set up a simple automated email sequence to initially just send them a couple of welcome emails and thank them for joining and staying with you. And then boom, put them into an auto mailer that just mails them once every month with a different kind of highlight of your property for that specific month. So if it's January and it's winter time in your property's area, then you're going to highlight winter activities and things to do. If it's summertime, you're going to highlight summer things to do. If there's an event happening, you can kind of customize these emails, one for each month of the year, and you can set them up on autopilot and then just update them if there are different events happening or different things that change. And so it becomes really, really easy and automated and hands-off to generate additional bookings. And the nice thing about those additional bookings are they're coming from guests that you already know you've had a great experience with. So they're, really good guests that you want to have back staying with you again. And number two is that you're also going to be able to drive those bookings into a direct booking platform rather than going through an OTA like Airbnb or VRBO. So you get to save the guest money while also saving yourself on fees. What I like to do is charge somewhere in the middle of what I would receive if they book through Airbnb and what they would pay. So they get a bit of a discount. I make a bit more money because we're missing out on the fees from the middleman there, and then everybody's happy. So those are my top recommendations to help you get more bookings to your short-term rental property. If you have any thoughts, questions, comments, concerns, strategies, tips, anything you'd like to add, let me know in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear from you guys. If you like this video, if you got value from it, if it was helpful for you in any way, shape, or form, or if you just want to do me a bit of a solid, then make sure you hit the like button down below this video. I post 2 new videos every single week, and anything you can do to share more love, more likes, more appreciation on them really helps me to get these videos in front of more people. So I really do appreciate any of you who take half a second and just hit that like button. Speaking of which, the last thing I'll ask you to do is hit the subscribe button down below as well. Like I said, I do post 2 new videos every single week here on the channel, helping you to succeed with short-term rentals. So if you want more access to those, if you want to stay up to date with them, if you want to keep watching them consistently so you can make more money on Airbnb, then make sure you're subscribed to the channel. I know a bunch of you guys watching here are not yet subscribed, so make sure you take a half a second and hit that subscribe button as well. I promise you, you will not regret it. With all that being said, thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.